Hi students, today I am going to teach you a very important poem by Kamala, and that is The Dance of the Eunuchs. If you see the original poem, students, it starts with, "It was hot, so hot, before the eunuchs came to dance, wide skirts going round and round cymbals, richly clashing and anklets jingling, jingling, jingling beneath the fairy gulmohar, with long braids flying, dark eyes flashing, they danced and they danced, oh, they danced till they bleed, they were green." And so on, this poem goes on. You can see on the screen that we have also given the entire original text for you. Now, you have to understand what is this poem about. Why this poem of Kamala Das became so popular and controversial. The Dance of the Eunuchs is one of those poems by Kamala Das, a great poet, which speaks of many things under the garb of them, and that is the eunuchs, the homosexuals, the lesbians, the transgenders, the gay people, and their rights, unke adhikar, and our understanding of their ethos and even their psyche. How their heart, how is their heart, how is their soul? What about their sentiments, their feelings, their sensitivities, their bondings with people, their gestures, their incongruities, their deficiencies, their positiveness, and so many things, so many words can be used. Apart from the voices of feminist discontent, revolt, suppression, repression of rights too can be heard. How were our patriarchal laws and regulations, how the bondage and social conventions, how severe and rigorous? Is it enough to call them the hinjalas, as we call in Hindi? It is a thing of law and justice. How have we understood them? किस तरह से हम लोगों ने उनको समझ रखा है? How has the British judicial system in India? The poem is no doubt about the Hinjala dance. But who are these Hinjalas? How their convention? How their language and communication? How they eke out of a living? How is their cross-dressing? What is their pains? What is their love, affection? How they feel everything? So there are so many questions, students, which come while we grip into this poem and the details. The poem, The Dance of the Eunuchs by Kamala Das, is actually quite symbolic, quite confusing. The poet, who is actually a victim of patriarchal society, talks about the dance of transgenders. The transgenders are too a victim of social norms, which alienate them from being treated as normal human beings. The transgenders, as we are discussing, being socially boycotted, being socially excluded, their dance, singing, begging to earn their livelihood. However, their dance and songs have no joy, no rhythm, either no sweetness at all. They have been trying their best to look beautiful, yet the society always looks down upon them. This is the irony. This is the social milieu. Now, as we have just discussed in brief about the poem's infrastructural system by Kamala Das, the poem has yet a profound meaning. The poet compares her own condition with that of eunuchs or transgenders. Like the transgenders, she means Kamala Das, as a woman, is also looked down by the patriarchal society. She may seem to be enjoying the life by her appearance, but internally she is joyless, she is lonely, she is alienated, and she is struggling. which we even see these things happening in many families with many people. You will also see one thing, students, that the poem has no stanzas. However, personally, agar aap usko dekhein, you see the poem. Personally, if you study it chronologically, you can divide it into 3 parts. Usko khud se aap divide kar sakte hain 3 parts mein. Wherein, in the first part, the poet talks and discusses the attractive things which eunuchs use or show in order to attract the people who may give them money. You might have seen in the railway stations, in the compartments of the trains, in the chaurahas, and many places where lot of people, crowded people are there. You will find they make a very embarrassing situation, and that embarrassing situation is made by them so that in order to get away from them, you just pay them money immediately and get apart from them. So this is the first part, students, in the poem. While in the second part, she talks about their inabilities and the joyless inner self. कि वो कितनी inabilities हैं उनके अंदर, और उनके अंदर मन में झांक के देखिए तो they are so alienated, they are so unhappy, they are joyless. And in the last part of the poem, the rain comes, which is a boon as well as a bane for them. Boon bhi hai to bane bhi hai. For example, if you again come back to the original part of the poem where I just read those lines, it was hot, so hot when the eunuchs came to dance. So where in the part 1 the poet is saying these lines, this line means that the eunuchs came to dance in a very hot day to dance, though it was quite hot. Why the poet is repeating the word hot? Why? Because the word hot is showing the intensity. They came because they need money. And why money is needed? You have to exist in the world. That existentialism is there. And for that, for existing themselves, they want money. And that is why they are dancing. Their wide skirts, they are wearing the wide skirts. And because of that wide skirts, they look, the appearance is female. And that was going round and round. Some of them had cymbals which they were striking against each other to produce a sound effect of dancing. They clap their hands, they do all those cymbals just to attract, just to make them people afraid of them so that they may be able to get money. And as they were dancing, their anklets, जो पैर में पहना जाता है, जो ladies पहनती हैं anklets, they were jingling, उसमें से आवाज आ रही थी. They were jingling, jingling, jingling. And Kamala Das words, these jingling, they are producing a similar sound to that of anklets. They were dancing under a reddish gulmohar tree. It is a beautiful tree if you see from your naked eyes. Their long braids were flying in the air and their dark eyes were flashing. And why it were flashing? Because they are very, very unhappy from inside. They have also, always they are in tears, but they don't show. They were continuously dancing. Continuously वो डांस कर रही थी until they could, जब तक वो कर सकती थी. And the poet uses the phrase till they bleed. आप देखिए लाइन में लिखा है till they bleed. Why? Just to show that they had to keep dancing and keep dancing to get money, to earn money for livelihood from people, because nobody cares for their pain which they have in their mind, in their heart, and physically they are embarrassed. So to earn their livelihood, अपना जीविकोपार्जन करने के लिए they have to earn money, and because of that they have to do all these things because nobody cares for their pain. And the eunuchs try their best to do the makeup in order to look a little human-like. Why? Otherwise, if you will not look like humans, they will be treated as aliens. So not to look like aliens, they do makeup. They had green tattoos. And why they use green color, students? They use green color because they want to show their joy, that they're happy. on their cheeks and jasmine flowers in their hairs, that they are feeling so happy to do all these things. Some of them were even black, while others were somewhere fair. But for society, there is no difference between you are fair or you are black. For the society, both are ugly in our eyes. This is the naked truth. Now here note, students, that the poet has shown two signs of harshness so far. First, the very hot weather, the intensity of the weather, and second, the eunuchs, compulsion to dance until they give up because of bleeding to earn money. So this is the entire first part of the poem where you can analyze this simplicity. Now if you see the second part of the poem, as it is a personal analyzation of the first, second and third, because the poem in itself has no parts. So personally we have to do it to make understand better in parts. So in the second part, we come to see the harsh realities. And what are those harsh realities? Their inability, their disability, and these things which are alienating them from the society. And according to Kamala Das, their voices were harsh, as if you will feel they are males as well as females. Beach ki awaaz. Sometimes you will feel they have some female tone also, tonal quality. Most of the time you will find that they have the male tonal quality. So mixing you will find, but generally उनकी जो आवाज़ होती है वो harsh होती है. It is not very sweet, and their songs are often or quite sad, because they are themselves sad people from the core of their heart. They were singing about the dying lovers. They were singing about the children which did not born. The line is quite interesting and confusing. As I had told you in the earlier first sentences, that this poem is actually very confusing, symbolic. The transgenders, we all know they are sterile and are still narrating the stories of those having proper males and proper female traits. So this can have actually, two meanings. First, they are perhaps talking about themselves, who cannot do lovemaking, they cannot produce children, thus their love dies and their children are not born. And the second meaning could be that they are talking about the dark realities of the world. Chalo, anyway, whatever the realities may be, but this is a truth, that their song is quite sad. Some of them you will find they are beating their drums, while you will find some of them beating their breasts, which the poet calls sorry breasts. Why sorry breasts? Because they are not of any use to them. Neither a man is interested in giving them the sexual pleasure, nor they can produce any milk, nor they can produce any child. Thus they are lacking both these blessings. Thirdly, the pain is that they might be disordered also. They were wailing and writhing in vacant ecstasy. They were making cries and irregular movements, singing, dancing badly, but without any joy. Their limbs were thin and were looking like half-burnt logs, like wood from the funeral pyre. Their body looked very dry, unfed, rotten. So these symbols, as I told you, is a symbolic poem, very different type, depict their miserable conditions. We know that transgenders are poor. They live in unhygienic conditions because they are not supposed to live in the good places, and without proper food, proper hygiene, proper basic things like house, water, shelter. Hence they seem to be like dead-like. Now, while they were dancing, the crows was silent on their condition, while the children were watching them with amazement. जो crows इतना चिल्लाते हैं, बोलते हैं, वो देख करके चुप हो गए उनको, और जो children हैं वो उनको amazement से देख रहे हैं, with bewildered eyes. In India, we know that crow is a symbol of doom, but here even the doomed creature is silent because they are treated worse than the crow. Crow की भी इज्जत है अपनी सोसाइटी में, लेकिन इनकी नहीं है. But here even the doomed creature is silent because they are treated worse than the crow. How pathetic, how witty, how ironical. On the other hand, the children have not seen them ever in their lives, so they seem, for the children it seems that they are some alienated characters. They are some foreigners, they have come from some other land, because they have never seen such people, such figures in the society.